Are you hearing any background noise up from my side when it's quiet, or?
Um, yeah, a little bit of weird mic noise.
Alright. You know what? We'll just go push. We'll do it.
Okay, so the ad's playing on Twitch right
Alrighty. Whenever you want to do a countdown, I'm good.
now. I'm gonna let this ad finish so I can actually see what's going on. Okay, you're at 15 seconds, right?
Yep.
Okay. We'll give it about a few more seconds. I refreshed the page so I could see my stream quality.
No problem.
Okay, we can start rolling.
Count me
Alright.
down.
Okay, so press play on go. 3, 2, 1, go.
What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? We have an interesting matchup coming to you live today from my room, of course. We have interesting team comps for Ribbit. On red, we have Scree, Coco, and Leon. Leon picking up regen off the bat. Trying to stay in for a little bit more survivability. Coco hitting up the Blaze up center mid. And it seems like we got an interesting engage going on in mid. Yuri mining it up. Derpel coming down with the nuke. They're at the bottom right now. A nice bull by Lone Star. And Shan gets picked up by the bull into the turret.
Yeah, Shrieky really made kind of a bad engagement down there. You can see in the chat that the Coco's kind of regretting that engagement.
Well, they did kind of leave themselves open to a team engage from Blue, especially when Blue has a Yuri and Derpel in mid like that. They can easily get the Lone Star to come down and send the bull in either direction.
Right.
So
So
Yuri and Lone just hanging out in mid right now. Screed dropping the totem to prevent people from jumping up the jump pad.
we know
And Derpel.
this is
Sorry.
just a pub match. So like these people didn't probably pick their characters with each other. There's no rehearsed strategies. But knowing that, like, what do you think of the comps?
As far as comps go, I think Blue has a little bit more of a solid comp for their mid-game. The only thing is, Derpel becomes really weak on Ribbit after both turrets are taken in either direction. He doesn't really have that mid-accessibility anymore where he can continue to just drop down with the nuke. And another nice tongue there from Leon, from the Derpel into the blue turret. Lone Star's going to chase him down and has Coco to back him up down low for the save. But I do think that Blue has a little bit stronger of a team comp, considering that Yuri and Derpel are going to basically control mid for the entirety of this game.
Yuri and Derpel both being famously good on this stage in particular.
Oh yeah, it's all about area of denial on Ribbit. I mean, personally, from all the matches that I've played and seen, if you can get good area of denial on Ribbit, you can basically take those two turrets within the first 10 minutes, and then it's just a wait-out game after that.
So I'm seeing a lot of players kind of hang out with really low health.
I've noticed it on red a little bit more than blue, but
And that's probably just a mark of inexperience on some of these players.
yeah, Coco's testing the waters. Coco and Leon are definitely testing the waters in mid right now. Well, like I said, exactly like that. Coco should have been out way earlier than that. She was just fighting with half health in mid. Derpel with a nice nuke, allowing the escape from Yuri. We have Minik up top, taking an engage with Derpel and Yuri, but decides to back off, pick up the creep health, and come down on the Lone Star. Maybe drop the totem. No, he decides to drop the saw. And Blue's going to get some tiny damage on red top turret. There it is again. That Derpel in siege mode in mid is definitely going to prevent red from surpassing the midsection. Then you have the Yuri down low, continue to mine up. So it's going to be very difficult for Red to get past mid without taking a lot of damage.
So a good attempt at tongue there from Leon, but
And an
still a little bit
excellent
dangerous.
totem. I don't know if you saw that totem. Minik landed an excellent totem up top, but got stuck in a snare trap in mid jungle.
So between the mines and the snares, it's really difficult for Red to make an advance here.
I mean, one good thing that Yuri can pick up after mid is Derpal really doesn't have anything after mid. He's got his mid game, he's got his siege mode and turret, but after that, mid is extremely not viable to stay in because you're pushing on the turrets. So we have Yuri who can then mine up their jungle and prevent any movement from there. So if they do manage to take top turret before they take the bottom turret, Yuri can easily mine up their jungle and they can have a great few pushes on bottom. Getting the nice bullpen on Leon, and Minik is being chased back in. Leon does manage to get out and take Yuri with him, though.
It was surprising because the push from Red was a little bit aggressive, and they did get caught from behind. I was surprised that they didn't take more damage there.
It was a bit aggressive, but you know what? It was actually just the right amount of push to pick up the kills. Although they did sacrifice their Leon, they did get out with a few. Derpal in a bad situation right now, but Yuri hops in to save him. As far as upgrades go, excuse me, Scree is just building into Steel Drum, which is gonna be really good for that Derpal if he just gets him caught and has him stay there right now.
The knockback
And
from
Leon gets
Derpal.
caught. Yeah, no, it was actually a very smart buy, especially to get people off him while he's in siege. So that Leon really wasn't able to do anything there.
Yeah, because I was watching from this perspective, it really looked like Derpal was about to get slashed down until the knockback gave him just that positioning that he needed.
Leon just does not match well up against this comp, though.
With the immunity on Derpal, he's not going to be able to get many pulls in there, and Bull from Leon also Bull from Lone Star counters Leon pretty well.
And Derpal caught in an interesting spot. Let's see how this plays out. Yuri to the save with the time bubble. And Lone, Yuri, and Derpal have a small bottom push right now. They get some decent turret damage. At this point, Lone and Derpal should consider teleporting out. But it seems like Derpal's going to stay up top and Yuri's going to pick up a mine kill on bottom. And they do get Leon snared again. And that looks like it's going to be a new kill on Leon.
That bubble making it really easy for Yuri to body block him in there.
You know, the upgrades that Blue's buying right now is just exceptional. You have Derpal with the knockback. He could knock back people potentially into his snare traps. You have Lone Star with a bull who could definitely toss people into Yuri's bubble or Derpal's snare traps. And of course, Yuri with the speed on Time Warp. Nice little engage on bottom, gets the speed nuke, tosses it out there, and they do manage to pick up the Leon.
Flash forward seems a little bit early in the game from this Yuri.
It does, but it seems to be working out very well.
So what do you think? Is that just an error from the enemy team that they're not taking advantage of this lack of early damage?
I don't really see it as a disadvantage because Yuri's basically playing support right now for Blue, so I don't really see them taking advantage of it, but they should be starting to time his Time Warp and just be aware of when it's going to be up or down. Minik with a nice totem blocking Derpal from escaping. Derpal with the speed nuke, he may be able to get out of this unscathed, and he does. Small little push up top, stopped by Derpal and Lone Star as Lone Star starts the engage. Lone Star is taking a lot of damage right now, and Minik does pick up the kill on Lone Star. And here comes Yuri in for the potential kill with the Time Warp Mine, and Yuri looks like he is going to get away.
We saw Derpal there siege into that saw and take a lot of damage.
Yeah. And Yuri actually does get picked up by Minik, Leon, and Coco all on bottom. Small little push for Coco on Blue's bottom turret. Gonna get that turret to about half damage. And they have both lanes pushed right now. Nice little split push that they had going. And it looks like Derpal's gonna drop down with a nuke again, all the way down to the bottom floor. And Coco is getting absolutely torn apart by that Derpal siege mode.
She does manage to get home.
Minik looks like he is on the run right now from Yuri and Derpal and leaves their Leon out, but Leon does escape unscathed as well. Coco up top, battling it out with Derpal now. Derpal back into siege mode in the mid platform. I'm feeling he's just going to wait to go down again. Nice little engage by Blue. Yuri's time bubble is just absolutely the best support for this blue team right now. And the speed nuke does manage to get some damage on the Leon. Lone Star manages to stay in, but he's getting cornered now by Minik. Derpal abandoned the Lone Star, but Lone Star seems like he's doing okay down there. He seems like he's going to be able to get away. Minik dropping the saw and does pick up the kill on Derpal.
So Coco feels like that the trade for Yuri was a good trade for her team. Would you agree?
In some aspect, yes, because you take away the time warp, and I think the time warp mixed in with the Derpal nuke is really what's taking apart the red team. So I do think that it was a good swap, because Yuri is just being a very good support Yuri at this point, and he's just controlling that mid, getting into the team fights and getting out. It's very smart. Minik's going to try and box him in with the totem, but it just gets a little short, and Lone Star decides to stay in. Minik is not going to chase. Coco gets taken apart by blue droids.
I keep missing kills just because a lot of damage comes out really fast with these mines on the map.
And Minik's going to try and teleport out behind the solar boss and does manage to get away. Derpal on bottom with Yuri. And Lone Star seems to be taking apart their solar boss. Here we go with Yuri's area of denial again, preparing for the drop down on Derpal. Derpal's got his snares up. Yuri's got the mines up. And the little engage by Lone Star and Scree forces Yuri to come out. As we see Minik teleport back, Leon up top, and Coco gets caught out down low. Yuri chasing in with the time bubble. Leon shortly following after. One thing that I am looking for Red to do in this match is take that Derpal down when he's in siege mode. They can all just kind of combo him while he's in siege mode and he doesn't have any escape. So if he's not in the mid area, I would be hoping that Red could possibly, maybe Coco shoot that ball off, and we get Leon in there to get some backstab damage. Of course, this is right after he uses his nuke, though, so they don't all get swamped by that. Coco eating a nuke to the face and decides to blaze out of there behind top turret. Blue in mid again. Minik getting caught out by all three of them, but does manage to land the nice totem and get the great escape.
That was a lot of damage there in a very risky 3-on-1 situation.
Very risky, but you know what? When you're a Scree, if you're not landing your totems every few seconds, Leon actually does pick up the Derpal, and Minik picks up Yuri on the way out. So this should be a counter push for Red. If Leon decides to get out of there, that would probably be a smart decision. Coco should be getting ready to clear up top, which she is getting ready to do, or chase down the Lone Star. Get some good damage on him. Lone Star is kind of testing the water, staying in there, but Coco should have been up top way before that and just been ready to clear that. They have a nice little split push going right now, but it looks like they're going to focus on top. Minnick decided to take a look at Solar Boss, but backed off of it. Top turret on blue is now down. Bottom turret still has about half health. Leon getting a nice snatch time in there. And Minnick gets caught out between the Yuri and the Lone Star. Turple's getting ready to drop with the speed nuke again. Chases him down a little bit, but does manage to miss. Leon invis as Yuri takes a Coco Ball to the face, and Leon is going to see if he can try and poke at the Yuri a little bit. And Leon will be getting out, but he does manage to cross over mid and misses the mine, but just barely. So we have Leon and Yuri going at it, and joining in on the team fight we have Derpal and Lone Star. Nobody manages to get a good amount of damage off though. Derpal in siege mode again. You know, that speed nuke is actually a really smart perk to pick up, especially when you have the Time Warp Yuri. That nuke is just going to chase him down. And Yuri does get picked up by the nice Minnick Saw in mid jungle. Derpal in siege mode just coming down again. Leon eats a mine. This is going to be very difficult for that Leon to actually do anything at this point. Coco getting caught in a snare but manages to escape. Minnick hunting down Lone Star but manages to eat the dynamite.
There was a really good nuke there from the Derpal hitting two of the red teammates, like allowing Lone Star to get one of those kills.
Lone Star manages to pick up their Solar Boss. Derpal is on their side right now, just kind of hanging out. Decides to go into nuke and hits the nuke.
Poor Coco got caught in the snare there.
Coco really shouldn't have been there, to be honest. She should have been playing a little bit more defensive, maybe behind the turret, shooting out some Coco Balls at some point. And blue team picks up red Solar Boss. Minnick is actually caught in their Solar Boss zone right now. But Leon coming in behind him in cloak. Maybe he'll be able to pick up a double here. Oh, the nice bull by Lone Star and the siege mode Derpal. That looks like it's going to be a wipe for blue. Excellent plays from both teams there, but blue team does manage to come out on top.
That fight was pretty ridiculous. I had to change my mind to who was going to win it like 2 or 3 times.
That Lone Star bull was probably the deciding factor in there, to be totally honest with you. Coco and Derpal just kind of poking at each other a little bit. Coco shooting out a ball, missing it. Derpal trying to land the speed nuke, does miss it again. Coco blazing around Derpal, but Derpal does have that knockback upon release of siege, so that Coco did get knocked back and Derpal safely escaped. Yuri again mining up mid, going into the Time Warp, kind of trying to lure him back into the Derpal. But walking into those mines, it's just going to tear apart red, and it's going to be extremely difficult to take back mid. Lone Star looks like he's getting caught out by all three, but does manage to get down low. And Leon eats a snare, which allows Lone Star to actually escape from that unscathed. Nice ball by Coco, bringing both blue members down to half health. And Leon does manage to pick up the Yuri on the way out. And it looks like a small push right now, but will Lone Star be able to get the bull? He does get the bull.
What
looks like
a
it's going to be a
bullpen.
nice kill. Minnick trying to come to the rescue, manages to get out the totem, but Lone Star's body blocks are just, wow. That was some great plays by Lone Star. Coco trying to come in for the save and maybe pick up the Lone Star, but unfortunately misses. Nice little Coco Ball by Coco, but it seems like Derpal's going to come in and save the Lone Star and pick up the kill as well.
Lone Star is really being the MVP of the blue team right now.
Yeah, no, Lone Star is definitely getting that MVP medal. Those body blocks, those bulls, especially from that little engagement we saw a while ago in their Solar Boss zone. That bull allowed the double kill, which basically gave blue that nice little push.
So one thing I'm noticing is Derpal is using his siege mode a lot in this match. And I feel like Red has some opportunity to punish him, and they're not taking it.
They do have opportunity to punish him, but it's just positioning when you actually consider what's going on. You have Yuri mining up mid and luring them into it. Then you have Derpel, who just goes straight into siege mode upon engagement, but runs back into those mines, which is going to basically allow him to escape unscathed every single time. So, like, right now, this is a great engagement that Red should have on the Derpel. He is alone. The Lone Star is behind him. You have Minik being chased by Lone Star right now, but they should have had that kill on Derpel. Derpel has a nice little cutoff point in mid-jungle and manages to pick up Minik.
I feel like they should have left Derpel alone because Lone Star was stuck between the red base and 2 red players.
Has been killed.
They do manage to pick up the Lone Star with the Leon Tongue, mining and snaring up mid-jungle again. You're just picking off that bottom push, and Leon tries to get a nice little engagement on Derpel. Coco, the ball from bottom mid. Leon does pick up the health, and it does look like Derpel's going in siege mode for the nuke. And it does hit Coco in front of the turret. Nice little cleanup game right now from both teams, just making sure lanes are even. Well, it seems like they have a 1 droid push on top. That's going to get stopped by the turret and those 2 droids. Little engagement going on. Nice totem by Scree, which picks up the Saw kill. Yuri is now on the way out, but Lone Star is into the rescue. Coco underneath. Coco should be balling that Yuri into the Saw from Minik, but it seems like they are both going to escape. Yuri chasing, not a very smart decision, especially with the Saw from Minik there.
Thank you.
And Leon does get picked up by the droids. Lone Star fighting with not much health right now, but his DPS is just so high at this point, he can out-hit Coco's lifesteal on her AA.
Everyone on this map is playing with incredibly low health. But Lone Star has better sustain.
Minik starts to pick up the double star storm statue for the extra damage. Coco picking up some extra health now. Derpel up in siege mode on top. Minik's going to come up to a nice surprise into a snare, but he does manage to get the totem out. Totem does have knockback on it too, but the siege mode Derpel does manage to pick up the kill on Minik. Now chasing them back to base is Leon. Coco, Lone Star again fighting with very little health. He should have been out a lot sooner than that. That Yuri could have taken a lot more punishment and probably could have survived. And I did not notice that Lone Star actually has blind dynamite.
Requests your presence.
Nice damage up top. Leon trying to pick up that Yuri, but doesn't manage to get enough damage on him. Derpel just standing in front of them. Leon invis again. Does manage to get snared by the Derpel, and it looks like it's going to be a nice engage, but blue team does come out on top. Loses Derpel, manages to take the Coco and the Scree.
So it really looks like Blue has a definite advantage here, but Red's been able to drag this game out for a while. How much of a chance do you think they have?
At this point, it's the snowball effect taking over. When you look at kill count and look at solar count right now, the Lone Star and Derpel have 3,000 solar, and the upgrades are just way up there, but this does look like it's going to be a GG right now. Nice little damage that Leon gets on the Lone Star. Nice damage up top on the top turret. Minik does eat a mine, but manages to get the Yuri off, but blue team does manage to take the top turret, and Leon picks up Lone Star, but Yuri in for the rescue kill, and does manage to kill Leon. Not sure what Coco's doing at that point. If she knows it's snared up in mid, did overextend a little bit, but doesn't pay for it. Now we have
attempting
Derpel
to bait.
caught out in the middle right now. That should have been a gank for Red on the Derpel, but they kind of let it slide. Coco trying to just clear some droids and maybe poke a little bit at the Derpal and Yuri on bottom. Leon down low, that would have been a nice situation for an earlier tongue than that. Force the Yuri into it, but Yuri and Derpal do ward off the Coco. Yuri taking a good portion of damage right now. Not sure what happened there. The red Leon just stopped moving. Didn't bother attacking, so...
Please report to the gift.
We have a nice small backdoor coming from the Lone Star, but Minik does pick it up with the totem knockback into base and the catch and release buzzsaw.
That really seemed like probably too aggressive of a play from that Lone Star.
It did. If they stayed in mid a little bit longer, maybe tried to pick up the solar boss, then move forward again, I think they could have taken the base altogether. But this totem knockback is an excellent counter to Blue's composition right now. Leon is back in. Invis in mid, trying to pick up the Yuri. Manages to miss the tongue, and Coco clears bottom. Yuri is now caught on Blue's side, but he does manage to escape. He's quickly on, excuse me. Derpal trying to bait them into the snare, but Minik does knock him back with the totem.
Coco kind of cut off sides, but Blue
little
didn't see it.
But right now, if you look at where Red is in comparison to Blue is, they should all be around that mid zone. And Yuri is just punishing everybody for entering mid right now. Minik does pick up the kill with a nice catch and release buzzsaw again. And they do have Derpal caught out. A miss on the ball from Coco will allow Lone Star to stay in. Take out the... and it looks like we're going to have a small push here from Blue again. But Minik is hunting down that Yuri into the mine and does pick up the kill again. Lone Star is by himself now, but decides to stay in again into the Coco Blaze. Not a very smart decision by the Lone Star.
That is a wipe for Blue with only Derpal dropping right now. Red should be able to make a nice push.
Specialized.
They should be clearing lanes, which Coco gets to quickly. Bottom lane is now even, but as far as lane pushes go, they should be picking up the solar, but which Minik does decide to do. They do need that extra solar right now. Derpal is back in. He's going to drop a snare in their first turret area.
Nice totem knockback.
Enemy has been killed.
Pulls Derpal into an impossible position.
Nice little engage from both teams right there. Yuri with the time warp bubble. And Coco hitting the nice ball, and Leon up top trying to tongue the Yuri, and does pick up the Yuri up top, but does eat a mine in the process on his way out. Coco and Lone Star up top. Coco's got mid health if she needs anything. Decides to blaze out and pick up their creeps. Trying to clear bottom lane, but that Derpal and Lone Star combo. Lone Star is now caught out alone, but Derpal is trying to get in there. Gets a nice knockback, and this should be a wipe. Not a wipe, excuse me. A nice kill for the red on Lone Star, which they do pick up. Nice totem. The knockback allowed that Derpal to back off a little bit and also push the Lone Star back into the mid area. And not a very smart decision by Coco to try and fight that, but Minik does manage to pick up the buzzsaw kill, so it was a 1-for-1 on that. Now Yuri is by himself being chased down by Minik and does get picked up by Leon and Minik. Top lane should be pushed right now. Bottom lane should be pushed. A nice little split push going on. In my opinion right now, they should really focus on one lane, try and get one turret down. But
Bit of an odd upgrade choice from Minik going with the double saw blades.
it is an odd upgrade choice, but the way I'm thinking it right now is that once he drops the totem and gets the knockback, if Derpal goes into siege mode, that's going to be a nice amount of damage on him. Both blue turrets now at about 3/4 health, and the solar boss will be picked up and stolen by Coco. And Leon picks up the kill on Lone Star. Yuri is trying to get into their zone. Not sure what Yuri is trying to do right now, but just trying to mine it up. Minik is going to get picked up by the Derpal. Derpel has now got a decent amount of cat damage on that as well. Doesn't manage to get the nuke off, and Yuri is alone by himself. Red does pick up the team wipe. They should be pushing top turret, take that down, and see how much damage they can get on that base.
And they're going for bottom instead. A little bit of a later push, but it should still work out pretty fine.
Yeah, as long as they do some decent turret damage now and possibly take down, if they are going to take down bottom turret, Lone Star is back up. Looks like he may try and bull someone out, or yes, he does get the bull into the base. Coco decides that she's just going to try and suicide into the base, but Leon with a nice save for Coco. This is going to be some good base damage right now.
And this
Derpel
might be
and
GG in
Yuri
the other
running in
direction.
there. It may be GG in the other direction. No, Yuri comes in with the time warp mine. Derpel getting the nice save along there with Yuri. Leon trying to do some poking. Does manage to poke Leon to about a little less than half health. And top turret is going to get a little push on it from Minik. Minik is by himself right now. Bottom lane. And Leon is snuck behind them and manages to poke around Yuri a little bit more. This could be some good damage. That totem is going to take some hits for those droids down low and allow that super droid to get a little bit more damage on that group of droids down low. Yuri with the time bubble down low, and who's up top right now? We have Lone Star trying to backdoor, but gets caught out by Leon and the rest of the team. Coco trying to cut him off, but does manage to escape.
Yuri running in all in zone.
No, Yuri decided that it would be a good decision for him to run in and gets caught out by the red team again. Honestly, at this point, if blue team just tried to get a base push and just all at the same time rush the base, I think they could out DPS red. The only thing is that Invis Leon can easily backdoor, so it's a gamble, but it's either win or lose at this point, and I think that blue could definitely out DPS if Leon is caught out. And Leon does get caught out, misses the nuke. Leon is picked up down low. This should be the point where that Lone Star should be pushing bottom and Derpel should be defending. Both teams playing extremely passive at this point, but you should expect that with this much turret health and, this much drill health. Nice little engagement going on, and Lone Star gets caught out again. Yuri is trying to make his way for the base. I don't know if he could do that much DPS, and Minik should drop his totem right now. He does drop the totem, and does get picked up. That's 1 health for the drill on red.
I think
One
Yuri
hit from
intentionally
anything could take out
suicide.
red.
But now they've got a 3-on-1 push that I don't see how blue's going to
They
stop.
do have a 3-on-1 push. Derpel not really doing much. He just kind of hangs out up there for the dropping nuke, and I think red is going to take it here. What a comeback. What an excellent match.
What a crazy match. Lots of back and forth there at the end.
Extremely. But if you saw at the beginning, Minik posted it in the chat and did say that their early game is great. But, you know, that game could have went either way. I think if blue pushed a lot earlier and they just kind of did a bum rush on the base altogether, they could have picked up that base and won that a little bit earlier. As far as upgrades go, let's take a look at that. Scree just immediately went off with the lifesteal and steel drum on the saw. Managed to pick up boots at some point, and knockback, which was a huge upgrade for him to manage to kind of separate red team, separate the blue team and pick off people one by one. Coco immediately going into AA and Superconductor, which I thought was a good idea in the beginning because she could kind of hang out in mid and just kind of use a Superconductor to go either up or down in mid, but that comp on blue for early game in mid was just too powerful for that. Yuri going into reduce cooldown on mines and mine damage early on, getting flash forward obviously before that, but I think that was a great idea considering that the red team did have some quick characters. But that Lone Star, honestly, if I could do one MVP for that match, that Lone Star definitely had it. Those kills that he picked up in the Solar Boss zone and those bulls into the turrets were just so overpowering.
So blue had such a decisive advantage for much of this match. Where did they go wrong?
I think they played a little bit too passive in the end. You know, they had red's base lower, and I think if they kind of all just did a base rush, they could have easily pushed red back, even though they may have pushed them back a little bit. You kind of force red to retreat into their zone, and you have a little bit of time for your droids to push. So if you did a quick lane clear and just decided to go into that base right off the bat, I think they could have easily picked up that base and picked up the win earlier.
And another thing I noticed from Blue is towards the end, as they started to get killed, every once in a while they were running back in one at a time, on 1-on-2 or on 2-and-3, just taking bad initiations and not respecting the burst from the red team.
One thing that I noticed is that Leon late game started to pick up a lot of the slack. You know, he started to get those nice little tongue pokes, the nuke on the tongue, and did manage to get some good damage onto the blue team. So, but there's no excuse for Yuri and Lone Star fighting in 2v1s and 3v1s, especially Yuri. Once he's at a time bubble, I mean, does he really have anything besides the cooldown on mines? But as he's trying to escape, he's just going to get tongued back into Leon or totemed in front of him and pushed back. But it was definitely a few small errors on Blue that forced their team to initiate. I think the Yuri could have played a little bit more passive as opposed to playing that aggressive, but in the early game, it did make a difference that Yuri had the flash forward.
All right. Okay, well, this is our one match that we have to do a cast. Thank you, Oz, for guest casting with me. For those of you in the stream, we're going to be doing the Star Wars Cup this Saturday. We may or may not be doing some more practice streams later this week, but thank you for tuning in.
Take care.